What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first Quitting YouTube of 2021. Thanks for coming back. I'm really excited to talk about YouTube, how it was as a platform back when we were on it before we quit. And I'm really excited to be joined by my dear friend, Ali Bongo, today to talk about old school YouTube. Ali, thank you for being here.
Hello.
You're right.
Oh
You look
God.
like you're on the verge of tears already.
It's because it said I was backstage, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Like in my head, I was about to come on to like the Ellen show, but of course, the ever better Brett Ball show.
Oh,
So
thank you very much.
I just got like flustered a bit in my own head.
I mean, we consistently get about 3 or maybe 4 viewers here, so I can see why you're a bit nervous.
Oh my gosh! Hello to everybody. You, and you.
That's including us, obviously, in the 3 or 4. Do you want to start, obviously very on brand with the wine, do you want to start by talking about like your brand, what you did on YouTube, sort of introduce yourself in that space?
I mean, I would never like to say my brand because that would assume that I'm every kind of person I hate. But okay, so my brand is exactly this. I started making videos on YouTube 2010, so about 11 years ago.
Oh, I think we've lost you. Okay.
Yeah, basically I started doing like reviews and rants about things that make me angry because I'm a bitter old hag and I, still am. And then it quickly went on to, oh dear, where's it going? Should I carry on talking?
Yeah, keep talking. I think we've lost you. You're a little bit laggy, but carry on. We can hear you.
Am I broken?
You're back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You
Okay.
went off fine in my head, but it most likely is my internet.
That's fine. We got the first like 3 words. So you started making videos in like 2011.
When I was a teenager, and
Mhm.
I turned 30 next week, so it's been a long, long time through the hard times and the good. And it started off just making videos about rants. I was always into like theatre and stuff like that, and I just needed that kind of self-expression to get out all my thoughts because I am a narcissist. And I just thought, you know what, everybody needs to know my exact thoughts on prime numbers. And it went from that to talking about sex in like a comedy kind of way with a series called The 8 of Sex, since I was training to be a sex therapist at the time. And then Philip DeFranco, who was a content creator that I always used to watch, started doing a movie club, and I started making videos about that. And I guess that's how I found a large part of my following. And then I moved to Hong Kong, lost a ton of followers because I dyed my hair brown. The shame.
Should be ashamed of
that. No, honestly,
so off-brand.
I lost like half my subscribers in the space of like 2 weeks because
Really?
How ridiculous is that? Yeah. But then I made a video a couple of years after that about a time I was walking home and basically these guys got into gang rape me. And I spoke about it, and then a bunch of people said, "Oh, but what were you wearing?" And I got hella mad and made a video about that, and that went kind of like not viral, but it got like 1 million views. And then the rest of my audience, I guess.
Right. Okay. I mean, so big overview of quite a long meandering journey on the platform, right? Should we touch on the start of it, and then maybe we can like go through the rest of it, like with a few other bits? Is that cool? So you said you started, you made the A to Z of sex. So you're trained to be a sex counselor. So like, I guess, how did the two marry up for you, right? Like, was YouTube a way to like study? Was it like, was studying less fun, so YouTube was a way to focus on the more fun sides of it? I don't think you're a sex counselor now, are you? So I'm guessing that didn't pan out.
Not. So here's the thing about being a sex therapist. It sounds really glamorous and fun, but it's mostly just talking to pedophiles and rapists or men with like erectile dysfunction. So it is pretty like not great, if I'm being honest.
Sure.
And I had this book called The Encyclopedia of Unusual Sexual Things. I've actually still got it, probably around somewhere. And I just started reading it, and it's really informative. It's a great book. But some stuff's just ridiculous. And I thought, This is pure comedy. And then I decided to make videos about it. And it kind of just went from there. I'll be honest, if you look back, it's really like I was the laziest video maker of all time. because I'd hear words, not know what they mean, and just make up what I thought it was, and a joke from there. And then people were like, "You do know that an infant is like a baby?" And I was like, "Oh no, I didn't." So my
Right.
jokes didn't even make sense. They're really terrible movies,
Yeah.
videos.
So I'm sure they weren't. Like I mean I watched a bunch of them. Like you got a big audience from it. Like they obviously weren't terrible. Maybe the content wasn't great. Maybe it was your personality that shone through that brought everyone in. Who knows? But
I'm an absolute buffoon, probably.
so with the
It
sex
definitely wasn't the intellectual side.
oh, I don't know about that. It's a certain kind of intellect, right? With the sex content, then that's obviously become a thing now, which we talked about before we jumped on.
Mm.
Like for you, like I feel like sex content now is more about information and education, more than say entertainment. Whereas, like, where do you feel like on your spectrum? You've said it was comedy, but it was also informative. Where do you feel like your A to Z of sex came on that? Excuse
It
the
depends whether you class my humor as comedy, really. If not, then it's just pure information. And it was great. Like, dendrophilia is the arousal from trees. Where else would you get wood from? Arachnophilia is the sexual arousal of spiders crawling in and around your genitals. Aragog! Like, it's quite low bar comedy, but it's kind of silly. So I would say it's more information because you definitely learn more than you laugh.
right.
But it's easy watching. It's like stuff that you can you can ingest easily.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice way of looking at it.
Easily ingestible information.
Nice. That could have been the tagline.
Yeah.
So I guess an quite a low hanging fruit of a topic to talk about with that is like the whole sex sells marketing, provocative titles, that sort of thing. Like, was that at any point in your decision making with the series? Like, did you like? I know for me, like I don't know if you knew like about the animals having sex series that I made, like talk about animals mating. And for me, they were dreadful. I hated making them, but sorry.
Sorry, I was like, did this come across because of our conversation about Isabella Rossellini? Is that how you got the idea for the series?
I don't even remember that.
She has the green porno series, and it's like how whales have sex, and how snails have sex, and how bees have sex, and ducks.
I no idea. I had no idea about that. But I like this was years ago. This isn't obviously not something I'm doing now. This was like my biggest content was about how different animals had sex, and I like it was provocative thumbnails and titles that like brought numbers in, and I ended up number chasing from those things. And I was just wondering if that was a at all any part of like your series or your mindset when you were creating it, or was it just the love of that sort of information?
It was the love of that sort of information, but Brett Ball, do you know what's so funny? You've forgotten one crucial thing.
Go on, what's that?
My videos for the A to Z of Sex, up to a certain letter, have quite provocative thumbnails and quite provocative titles because you told me to change them.
Did I really?
I just had it A to Z of Sex A to Z of Sex B, and you were like, no, you've got to grab people in. People having sex with spiders and have a woman with a spider. So
I mean, I'm in marketing now, so it fits. Oh my word. I mean, I'm so sorry that I gave you that information because that is
No, I mean it was good. Like
dreadful.
they got the most views, but I was just like, oh, this is effort, and that is not my brand. Okay, my brand is not effort or high quality entertainment.
Oh, I disagree entirely. Oh, mate. Well, I mean, I feel like that directly conflicts building an authentic, returning audience, just like grabbing people with this like clickbaity, provocative title. So, in hindsight, dreadful advice, and I'm so sorry. Speaking of which, I've got a very provocative title on this: sex, women, and parties. So we'll move on to the other bits. You were obviously like a woman on YouTube, and you said like you lost half your audience when you dyed your hair a different color. And I was just wondering,
Oh,
do you feel like that was a big part of like the allure of people? Like, do you feel like people objectified you more than like objectified your content, so to speak?
yeah, but to be honest, I think I lent into it, and if you asked me this question, say 6 or more years ago, I would have been like, absolutely not. But I'm like a crusty 30-year-old now, so I'm like, absolutely, I was banging hot back then. 100% lent into it. But the thing is, it's so funny. I always got picked on in school for being like like being ugly and being pigeon chested and stuff like that. So I've never really thought of myself as being attractive. And then once I started doing movie club, they labelled me sexy Brit, and I was like, me sexy? Have you ever seen me? So I was like, what if I pretend to be sexy? And I'm like, So some like in some of my videos, 100%. Let me be honest, I wore like 3 bras to make it look like I have boobs. Little did I know, all I had to do was put on weight. Who knew it was eating cheeseburgers that would do it?
I mean, I didn't even realize that you could wear 3 bras at the same time. I didn't know that was a thing. So,
oh yeah, the video, I think it's called like How to Become a Reality TV Star, which is basically just making fun of Geordie Shore people.
Yeah,
I was wearing 3 bras.
it's
It was,
impressive.
and like one of them was like it was like this much padding.
Right. So, I mean, you say you lent into it and people like branded you sexy Brit and like you sort of embraced that a little bit. Like, were there like, I don't know, were there negative sides? Did you feel like there was more pressure on you being a woman for some content? Like,
yeah, to be like, I don't know if it's just because also in those days I was in my early 20s and late teens. So I probably felt more pressure to look that way because I wasn't as comfortable in myself. Nowadays, I don't really give a shit. Like, I'm all over Instagram, I'm all over wherever. No makeup, no bra. I don't care what I look like. When I did videos, it used to take me about 3 hours just to set up because I needed to have a bath and I'd make sure like I'd shave my legs even though they weren't on set. I'd do my hair, I'd do my makeup, and I'd put in so much effort. And I was like, if I don't have time to properly do my hair and my makeup, then I'm not doing it. And I'd put off videos because I was so scared of not looking 100% pretty. Because there are loads of people that will say, yeah, but you were prettier then. And you would, and they still even now say it to me today.
really?
Oh yeah, I don't care though.
That's horrible.
So there was a lot of pressure to look as hot as sexy Brit should. But I don't know if that's an age thing or if it's a being a woman on YouTube thing. Like, I don't know if I'd feel the same pressure now as when I did when I was 19, 20, 21.
Yeah. No, I mean, I obviously being a woman is not anything I will understand, let alone being a woman on YouTube. I feel like there were probably loads of pressures I never even realized were a thing. Like, he's obviously not a woman on YouTube, but you know, Scott Balfour, he was, I remember he said something that stuck with me. He was like, so many people treat making videos like get ready for videos like they get ready for dates. And I never really got it, but off of what you just described, like that totally makes sense. Like
100%. Yeah.
Gosh.
And the thing is, because a lot of my comments weren't actually to do with the videos themselves, they were just to do with how sexy people found my accent, God help them, how much they liked my hair, how hot they were, blah, blah, blah. And then I had people send me videos saying like how much they were in love with me and blah, blah, blah. And for me, it was the first time anyone's ever given me that kind of attention, to be honest. Like, and especially in my group of friends, IRL, I was like the weird, ugly duckling type of person. And I'm still weirdo now, but it was the first time that anybody's ever been like, oh my God, she's sexy, she's hot. And I'm like, who are you talking to?
See, I can't believe that because I remember seeing you at VidCon, like just getting so much attention. Like everyone wanted to hang around with Ali Bongo with the bright red hair.
I've never felt so popular, if I'm being honest. Like when I look back, I'm like, I should have really capitalized on it and been like, so this is my squad. I was so socially naive back in those days too, and I'd believe anybody for anything. And now I think, God, I wish I could have my 30-year-old brain in my 20-year-old body and just like rule the roost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Like, I guess, so talking about VidCon then, like we've sort of talked about the platform as a whole, but within the groups that we were on, we first met at the first VidCon, didn't we? Like, do you remember how we met? Actually, I remember I texted you about this and you got really confused. So Moki and I were going to get food and you had just come back from getting food. You gave me a very cold cheeseburger from a restaurant called BJ's. And I remember I tweeted or texted you or something. And I was like, we met from you giving me cold BJs, and you were just like, "Oh, that's weird. What do you mean? I don't understand." And I had to explain it to you. I remember finding that hilarious.
It's not funny when you have to explain it.
It's a sign of good comedy, that explaining your jokes.
It's so funny though, because I really do miss, like, I went to the second and third ever VidCon. I didn't go to the first ever one, but there was only like what 8,000 people there, and I went to like a lot of like the UK hangouts where there'd be like 50 or 100 people, and I really loved that community spirit. Like, I loved going, making friends with absolute strangers, and I'd say I'm friends with more people from those kind of situations than I am from online relationships, when you do collabs and stuff like that. And I feel like the people that try really hard at being an influencer, oh God, I don't even get sick by saying that word, but the people that try hard to be an influencer don't tend to be the greatest people.
Sure.
Because they see other creators as commodities rather than people.
They'll social climb through the whatever platform they can. Yeah, 100%. Like I was thinking about this earlier, and I was thinking, like, for me, I got way more value out of the experiences off of YouTube from YouTube. Does that make sense? Like, making the videos was fine, like it was whatever, but actually it was going to events, meeting the people, hanging out away from a camera, away from the internet. Those are the things that now, in hindsight, having left the platform, that I hold most dear and am most excited about.
Yeah, because if you think of, so first VidCon was it 2011?
That was the first one we went to. Here's a picture of us there as babies with baby Moki.
Baby Moki.
So that was, that was like the first night, I think, or maybe the second night of VidCon.
Yeah. And you were like the poshest person I'd ever spoken to in my life at that point. I was like, oh my gosh. No, sorry. I've got a friend called Lord Grantham now. His real name's Urosh, but we call him Lord Grantham because he's that
right. Posh. Amazing. Brilliant. Oh, I'm quite happy not having that title. But yeah, like,
but you
for me,
are one of my dearest friends, and it's been over 10 years. And you've been to my house. Like, my mum full names you Brett Ball all the time. She's always asking about you. Oh, you are a big hit in the Bongo household, let me tell you.
Well, I'm glad about that. I suppose that's a thing. Like, you made my name of an adjective for being drunk for like the longest time. Like, there was a 3-year period where you'd tweet, "I'm Brett Bald," and people would just know that meant you were drunk. People who had never heard of me before would just know what that meant. It was ridiculous.
Because I took on I can't remember who said it, but it's like, if you say ED onto anything, it means drunk. And I was like, I'm absolutely Brett Bald. And I was like, 100% sounds like another word for being drunk.
That's the one that stuck.
Do you remember being drunk? It was at VidCon, and I remember going, beep, 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 beep. It's Moki's called me, and I picked up something that wasn't a phone.
Yes.
Or maybe it was a phone.
We were in IHOP.
Yeah.
Yeah, you, me, and Mitch had gone to IHOP, and you were like, we'd all been drinking, but you were next level. Like, you were absolutely Brett Bald. And I remember on the way back, we were literally in the middle of a conversation. I think you were even in the middle of a sentence in the elevator, and you fell asleep. And we've got it on camera, but we couldn't get hold of the video, which is really annoying because I really wanted to share that here. But you just had this habit of just falling asleep. I remember in London as well, we came to your... I mean,
your name is called narcolepsy.
Excuse me, yes. Right. You had too many people in your hotel room because a few of us came back for a few drinks, and someone came to knock on the door, but you were just out cold. You were just like flat out. And I think you'd only had like 2 glasses of wine.
One drink wonder back then, me.
Absolutely. So I guess, okay, so VidCon, like, you're quite right. Like, when you said that community feel is like the most excited you've been about that platform or that era or whatever, like, I'm totally the same. And I feel like you touched on people seeing people as commodities, and I feel that way about a lot of people that I've lost touch with. And I don't know if I've spiraled in my own head, like, did they not like me? Were they seeing me as a commodity to like social climb through the platform or whatever? But there are so many people that I reach out to try and reconnect with who just don't even respond, right? But back in the day would have been like, yeah, totally, let's hang out. But then there are, on the flip side of it, like people like you, like I was saying to you before we went live, like, I remember I went to Newcastle University and had like the shittest time. Like the first time I really understood that I was going through like an anxiety thing, like I was absolutely spiraling. And you were like, dude, it's like half an hour from my house, come hang out. And it was like, I don't know, it felt like such a, like you absolutely stepped up like when I needed someone. So I really appreciate that. I've been in that room that you're in right now. We've hung out there. And yeah, it's just it's weird, isn't it, that the platform held so much like social climbing, but also like was able to nurture such,
Real friendships.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I spoke about this last time before Christmas that when I was on, and it was like some friendships like in real life are just like friendships of convenience because you're in the same place as people, like high school friends or whatever. But when you make real friends from this platform, it's because you have stuff in common and stuff that links you, and you end up forging, I feel like, much deeper roots into those friendships, right?
100%.
Are you still in touch with many people like
Where
that?
you can just pick up anywhere. Like we hadn't seen each other for almost 10 years, to be honest, wasn't it? Last time that I saw you must have been 2012, and I saw you last year at my brother's graduation.
So like 8 years, yeah.
Yeah, so like 8 years, but you played board games with my family yet again, and it was just like any other day.
I know. It's nice. I feel like that's the other thing. Like I'm a strong believer that low like maintenance friendships tend to last longer. Like when you don't feel the pressure to have to touch base with people. And I feel like this inherently like nurtures that sort of friendship, right? You cannot be a high maintenance friend across the internet because it just doesn't work.
Back on what you were talking about with social climbing, do you also sometimes feel like you worry if people think you're a social climber? Because I've got a lot of friends that did very, very well in YouTube. I have a lot of genuine love for them, and I'm not a social, like, I don't give a shit about anything, so why would I care about social climbing? But I always wonder, because I don't have a bigger social presence as them, that maybe they think I'm social climbing and I'm just having a conversation, and it always like panics me. I'm like, what if they think I'm doing that? I'm not. But if I say that I'm not, then they'll think I am.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, not really. I never really thought like that before. But now I feel like if I reach out to someone who still has a social presence, that's going to play on my mind. Like I am going to think that. Like my main thing,
my gift to you.
Brilliant. Thank you for the for the insecurities. Yeah, like so Autumn's just made a comment. Let me show you this cool tool. Hello. Look at the little comment has popped up.
Oh my God. Oh, I didn't even realize you could do comments.
Yeah. So Autumn said being a smaller creator.
Dinosaur.
The imposter syndrome was real, which I think is bang on. Like that's more so than now reaching out to people who still have a social presence. I felt like back in the day, if I was in a room with certain people, I had like imposter syndrome, and then I felt like really awkward about who am I talking to? Should I be here? Like, do they only want to hang out with people who are on their level? That sort of thing. More so in England than the US, because I feel like I got the validation in the US quite early, you know? How about you? Did you ever get like imposter syndrome more than people thinking you were a social climber?
Well, no, because I never. It's only since I stopped doing YouTube that I felt like I had imposter syndrome. Whilst I was doing it, I didn't. Like I need to say it again. I don't care. So
Yeah.
it never bothered me at all that people would think I was shit and stuff like that. I always wondered that people thought I was weird and annoying, which I am. So I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm very much a Marmite type of person, which is fine. But I'd always wonder, like, because I just confidently, like that little toddler in the video that barges into a newsroom.
Yeah.
Walking up to random people, being like, "Hello, blah 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 blah." And because I didn't actually watch that much YouTube, I didn't know if I was talking to like big time celebs or like someone with 300 subscribers. I'd just be like, "Oh, I like that person's dress. I'm gonna go tell them. Oh, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna do this." So I never really felt that much of imposter syndrome until I heard everybody else kind of like bitching about other stuff, and then when I stopped doing YouTube, I was like, "Oh, maybe they think I'm trying to like
climb the ladder." Yeah. Oh, it's weird because I feel like we were on totally flip sides of that then. How strange. Because I feel like we largely had similar experiences on YouTube, right? We like for me, you're the one constant that was on the journey at like every step of the way. Like my first gathering was VidCon in 2011, sorry, and you were there. And then I went to Summer in the City for the first time, and you were there. And then the following year, I did both as well. And then I'd go to like smaller parties and stuff, and you were always there along the way. And I feel like we had really mirrored journeys, right? So it's really weird to hear that we like processed things entirely differently.
Right, can I just hear someone say that I'm a constant? I just need somebody in my life to say that I've been consistent at one thing. And if it's just been at parties, I'm fine with that.
100% you're a constant. You were. I mean, since I've left the platform, not a constant at all, but 100% you're a constant through that like period. And see, Rob has just followed. Rob, thanks for following me. And Rob actually took me to my first ever Summer in the City, and I remember being so awkward, like because I knew people in the US before I knew anyone in the UK. You and Bing were the first people in the UK really that I knew.
Oh my god, thing, yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just like in the UK I was super nervous. But yeah, you were a constant. Like if I was looking around a room and I didn't know anyone there and I was particularly nervous, like this, for example, I felt exactly that way when we took this picture.
Me too. Oh, I look so good there. Why don't I look like that anymore? My god.
We sort of look like babies, but less babies than in the previous one.
I mean, it was 9 years ago, so I'll let myself off.
Yeah. But so this is an example of what I was talking about. Like I remember walking into that room and being like, oh shit, I don't know anyone in here. Like, and for some reason, if I did that at VidCon in the US, like it felt different because I feel like I had the gimmick of being the Brit, right? So you could just talk and people would sort of validate that and
Oh
make you
my
feel
god.
interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas it didn't have that in the UK. And I felt like if I saw you in a room, like I could just chill with you and I'd feel way more comfortable.
See, I didn't really like approaching people in the US because nobody understood what I said. Everyone thought I was like Australian or Scottish or Irish, and they'd be like, "Can you just like slow down?" And I'm like, "I can try."
No, I see. I can see why they'd struggle with your accent. Like, even I struggled with your accent to begin with, and I had family from the north, so gosh.
Do you know
Yeah,
what though? I feel like my accent's come back in the past year, but until I moved back to the UK, I thought I pretty much got rid of my accent.
yeah. When I saw you last year, you had sort of like a bit of a twang, like a Asian twang,
Yeah,
like just little inflections at the end of sentences. But I guess that's because how long were you in Hong Kong for?
7 years.
God, that's such a long time. Did that have any part to play in why you stepped away from YouTube? Like I know you said you lost some of your audience, but
Hugely. So when I first moved there, I wanted to document everything, being like, this is so different. I don't know anybody from Hong Kong, so I thought this would be something that everyone's loved to see and like make loads of travel videos. But when I'm there, and because I worked 6 days a week, my Sundays were I have to do all my washing, I've got to do all my tidying, I've got to do all this. And then if it came to filming, I didn't want to sit in my bedroom editing or filming or doing all that all the time. I wanted to go out and actually explore my neighborhood and in the places that I was going to and try and make like I didn't make friends in Hong Kong for 9 months, which is like imagine having zero friends for like 9 months. I had acquaintances, but no one that I thought cared about me.
yeah,
So it was, and because my apartment was so small, we're talking like 300 square foot for two people. It was bad. Um, it just wasn't a good mental health space. Like I think I actually did an apartment tour on YouTube of that crappy apartment. Um, and then when I moved into my other apartment and I had a bit more free time because I was with a different school, it was better. But I still was like, oh, I've got friends now. I want to go see my friends. I want to build a life here. And so
yeah,
YouTube just got further and further down on my list of things that I cared about and prioritized and stuff like that. And people became so much less interested in me, which I know it shouldn't really play a part, but it does. Like, if you feel like people want to see your content, you'll be like, okay, well, I'll make content for you. But if nobody wants to see it, it's like, well, why should I put in all this effort?
Yeah, no, I 100% get that. Like it's a momentum thing as well, isn't it? Like making content, like you make stuff more regularly, people come back more regularly, they give you the validation and the engagement, so you make more stuff. And it's like as soon as you fall off that bandwagon, especially if you're in a bad headspace, like it just sort of throws the whole
Yeah.
thing out of whack.
Yeah, and what really I didn't realize. So just before I moved to Hong Kong, me and my boyfriend split up, and on the same day, Nathan Wills committed suicide. I don't know if you were close to Nathan, but I was quite close to him, and that knocked me for six. Especially since I was training to be a therapist, I thought out of everybody, I'd be the person he could come to, and I felt like I failed as a person, as a friend, as a therapist, that he didn't. So I was in a bad way. Like I feel like if I didn't move to Hong Kong, then I wouldn't be alive right now.
Really?
And it
Oh, I'm
was
so
a case
sorry.
of, because I moved on such a whim. I was like, I've got nothing to lose here. I'm just gonna go because if I don't, I'm gonna drown. Like with the weight of everything.
Yeah.
So I also feel like moving to Hong Kong and not making videos was a bit of a liberation for me. It was like, okay, fresh start. Nobody knows me as Ali Bongo or like Sexy Brit or anything like that. I can just be me, but because I never addressed of the crap that went down, not just because of Nathan, but mostly because of my ex. I had like PTSD that had been undiagnosed for like 6 years.
Mm.
And it builds up and it created like a lot of problems in my life that I didn't realize. I just thought I was like a psycho, basically.
Yeah.
And then
Oh.
I'm like, oh, I've got this diagnosis now. I'm not mental. And since then, life has been a lot better.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that you've
So
had a sort of step up.
if anybody is feeling like, oh, I don't know if therapy for me, it 100% is. It is the best. And also the worst, but it's the best.
Oh, 100%. I will regularly say to people, like, even if you don't feel like you need therapy, like therapy will still benefit you. Like at its least beneficial, it's still like admin for your brain. It really helps you figure out how to process things and conceptualize and
100%.
compartmentalize things and stuff. Yeah, I think everyone should at least try it. Like personally,
Yeah.
anyway. I'm really glad to hear that it helped you out of that place you were in, Ali. I'm really sorry you had to go through that.
That's fine. I mean, it's made me who I am today. So, blah, 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 silver linings, forgiveness, whatnot. It's
All
still
that
not
stuff.
my life.
Okay, so I guess one last quick point before we wrap up then. You've said you've sort of made the journey back to feeling sort of in a better mental state. You're back from Hong Kong. Is there going to be like are we going back to YouTube at all? Any glimpse of that?
I really, really want to. And before, sorry, I feel like this is just me opening up about my mental health.
No, it's
But
all right.
during like the beginning stages of my YouTube, not career, but whatever, YouTube journey,
Sure.
I suffered a lot with like eating disorders. And at my lowest, I was just above 6.5 stone, and I'm 5'7" for reference. I was like heckin' skinny. And it wasn't until like I moved to Hong Kong that I developed a more positive relationship with food, and it's really I've had to teach myself. So I really want to combine YouTube, food, mental health, and comedy all in one, and do a cooking with comedian series. But COVID, we're in lockdown and have been for a year, so let's see if that ever comes to fruition or not. But ideally, I want to do like a comedy, mental health, food video
Yeah,
thing.
I think that sounds brilliant. I definitely would watch that. I think like for me, it's weird. Like as I've come into my late 20s, like cooking content is probably the thing I consume the most of outside of sports content. Like I'm all about it. Like there's this one video I've seen where I don't know if you've seen it. Gordon Ramsay is cooking back to back with someone who doesn't know how to cook, and he's talking him through everything he does. And the lad who's never cooked before has to try and follow the instructions blindly, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's like so I'm 100% here for like comedy, mentally aware cooking content from Ali Bongo. Like, please, 100% when COVID's gone, please do that.
Yeah, I really like it. And the thing is, I'm not the most amazing chef or cook in the world, but I really, really do enjoy it, and I'm a lot better than what I was, say, a year or 2 years ago.
Mm.
So I really want to kind of test comedians' chefing skills while also just having like a real laugh about stuff. And
Yeah.
it's also a good way of me to promote my stand-up, because I think a lot of people that did used to follow me on YouTube don't know that I do stand-up comedy now, which is like
Yeah.
my main outlet, I guess. It's like the substitute of, of YouTube. So it's a good way to just do more shameless promotion. Hashtag marketing, Brett.
Brilliant. Amazing. Well, I really hope you make it. Your cooking thing. And any stand up you do as well. I really hope you proceed with that after COVID sort of a thing. Thanks for talking to me about YouTube and our lives and stuff. It's been so nice catching up.
I feel so important.
Oh, you are important. Will you come back again? Like when I've run out of the 12 people that I know.
I'm like, oh my god, yes.
Like I literally know about 12 people who want to do this, and after that I'm shot. So you're gonna come back.
I'll just wear a different wig.
Perfect. Yeah, dye your hair a very slightly brighter shade of red.
Yeah, I mean, I can do a Mufasa impression. Simba deliberately disobeyed me. And then, well, that's the only line I can do. But I could pretend then to be just different cartoon and like as if it was a thing.
Brilliant. I can't wait. That'll be a great piece of content.
Yeah, one whole line.
The gift that keeps on giving. Ali, thanks for being here. Everyone who's been in here, who's followed and commented and stuff. Sorry we didn't get to many of the comments, but thank you for watching. I'll be back next Monday. I'm not sure who with yet, but make sure you check it out. And I'll see you guys later. Sorry?
Oh, thank you so much, Brett. Love you so much.
Bye. See you later.